Most people think a dime is just 10 cents, but some Roosevelt dimes are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Silver dimes minted before 1965 are highly collectible, and rare error coins like double dies or off-center strikes have sold for big money. The best part? These valuable dimes are still out there in circulation today. That little coin in your pocket or change jar might be a hidden treasure. Stick around, because I'll show you which dimes you should never spend. The 1999 United States one-dime coin is one of those fascinating stories in the world of modern numismatics where an everyday coin suddenly transforms into a prized collectible because of a mistake at the mint. A dime is one of the most ordinary coins in circulation, so light and small that most people hardly even notice it when it's mixed with their change. Yet for collectors, certain 1999 Roosevelt dimes with minting errors have become treasures that have stunned the auction world, bringing prices that reach into the tens of thousands of dollars. What started as a coin worth just 10 cents has, in rare cases, sold for over $10,000, $25,000, and in some dramatic examples well beyond $50,000 or more, depending on the type of error and condition. It is this transformation from ordinary to extraordinary that keeps collectors checking every dime they encounter, hoping to uncover the next big discovery. To understand why the 1999 Roosevelt dime error holds such significance, you need to place it in context. By 1999, the Roosevelt dime design had already been in circulation for more than half a century, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. The obverse bore the familiar portrait of Roosevelt by John Sinek, while the reverse featured a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. This design had become so common that most Americans hardly noticed it, but collectors knew that sometimes even the most ordinary coins could harbor extraordinary surprises. The year 1999 was also important in U.S. coinage history because it marked the launch of the 50-state quarters program, which drew immense public attention to circulating coins. With so many people suddenly becoming casual collectors, interest in coins of all denominations rose. It was during this time that some collectors started to notice unusual 1999 Roosevelt dimes, coins that didn't look quite right, coins that showed signs of striking errors, and coins that hinted at mistakes that should never have made it into circulation. One of the most dramatic types of errors from 1999 are off-center strikes. When the blank planchet isn't properly aligned between the dies, the design ends up shifted, leaving a crescent of blank space on one side of the coin. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. For 1999 Roosevelt dimes, off-center strikes of 50% or more have sold at major auctions for thousands of dollars, sometimes pushing into the $8,000 to $12,000 range. Another error that makes 1999 dimes stand out is the double strike. In these cases, the coin is struck more than once, and if it shifts between strikes, the design elements overlap in ghostly or distorted ways. Roosevelt's profile may appear doubled, the torch on the reverse might be stretched or blurry, and the lettering could seem to vibrate across the coin's surface. Collectors prize these errors because they are visually striking and obviously wrong, making them perfect conversation pieces as well as investment items. A particularly bold double-struck 1999 dime once sold for over $15,000 at auction, proving that even small coins can bring enormous values when the right error is present. Wrong planchet errors are perhaps the most exciting of all. A wrong planchet error happens when a coin is struck on a blank meant for another denomination. Imagine a 1999 Roosevelt dime struck on a cent planchet, giving it a reddish copper look and making it smaller in diameter than normal. Or imagine one struck on a foreign coin blank, producing a dime with an odd weight and appearance. These coins are instantly recognizable and extremely rare, and they tend to command staggering prices at auction. At one heritage auction sale, a 1999 Roosevelt dime struck on a cent planchet shocked bidders when it climbed past $25,000. Another example struck on a foreign blank reached close to $40,000. These wrong planchet errors are among the most coveted because they are both visually dramatic and exceedingly rare. Then there are broad strike and partial collar errors. A broad strike occurs when the collar die, which normally holds the coin in place during striking, malfunctions, or is missing. Without it, the metal spreads outward, creating a larger and misshapen coin that still bears the correct design. Partial collar errors, where only part of the rim is properly formed, can give the coin a strange railroad rim appearance. These errors are less dramatic than double strikes or wrong planchets, but they are still valuable, with prices often in the $2,000 to $5,000 range depending on condition and severity. Clipped planchet errors are another variety collectors love. These occur when the blank metal sheet is improperly punched, resulting in coins with curved or straight clips missing from their edges. A clipped 1999 Roosevelt dime can sell for several $100s, and in pristine condition well over $1,000. While not as rare as some other errors, they are still a fascinating part of the story of how mistakes can turn ordinary coins into collectibles. Auction history is full of examples that highlight the demand for these coins. At Stack's Bowers, a remarkable 1999 dime error with an extreme off-center strike sold for over $9,500. At Heritage Auctions, a wrong planchet 1999 dime, struck on a copper cent blank, commanded more than $27,000. Another spectacular double-struck specimen, with both strikes clearly visible, fetched close to $20,000. And at a record-breaking sale, one extraordinary example of a 1999 Roosevelt dime error reached over $50,000, stunning even seasoned collectors who thought they had seen it all. These sales prove that when error coins are dramatic, rare, and visually appealing, their values can climb to astonishing heights. The appeal of the 1999 Roosevelt dime error lies not just in its rarity or value, but in its symbolism. It reminds collectors that mistakes are possible even in modern, high-tech minting processes, and that treasures can still be hiding in the most unlikely places. Imagine finding one of these coins in circulation. What feels like a dime worth 10 cents suddenly transforms into something capable of paying for a new car, college tuition, or even a down payment on a house. That sense of possibility keeps collectors searching and fuels the fascination with modern era coins. And the design itself adds to the story. Roosevelt's image has become so familiar over the decades that when it appears distorted or incomplete, it creates a powerful effect. The torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse symbolize ideals that are timeless, and when those symbols are warped by error, they take on a new, almost surreal quality that fascinates both casual observers and serious numismatists. Each error dime becomes a one-of-a-kind piece of art created not by intention but by accident, and that uniqueness makes them even more desirable. Over time, the value of these coins continues to rise. As more collectors enter the hobby and as examples of 1999 error dimes are locked away in private collections, prices climb higher with each passing auction. Coins that might have sold for a few $1,000s 15 years ago are now commanding prices of $20,000, $30,000, or more, and there's every reason to believe that this trend will continue. For collectors, that makes the 1999 dime error both an exciting find and a smart investment, so the next time you come across a Roosevelt dime, take a moment to look at it carefully. Check the date, examine the strike, and see if anything looks unusual. Because while most will be ordinary, worth only their 10-cent face value, a few rare 1999 dimes out there are extraordinary coins that have sold at auction for breathtaking sums, from $10,000 to $25,000 to $40,000, and in the most spectacular cases even beyond $50,000. The story of the 1999 Roosevelt dime error is a reminder that even in the smallest, most common coins, there can be hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. It is stories like these that keep the world of coin collecting alive with excitement, mystery, and the promise of finding something truly extraordinary where you least expect it. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes the smallest denomination ends up telling the biggest stories, and the 2007 United States one-dime coin is a perfect example of that. At first glance, a dime is one of the most ordinary coins in circulation. It's light, it's thin, and it carries a face value of just 10 cents. People toss them into jars, lose them between couch cushions, or hand them over without a second thought when paying at a counter. But for collectors who understand the power of errors and rarity, the 2007 US dime has become a coin that can be worth far more than its tiny denomination suggests. In fact, in the right conditions, certain errors from this year have gone on to sell at major auctions for prices that stun both newcomers and experienced numismatists alike, ranging from tens of thousands of dollars up to six figures in the most dramatic cases. The 2007 Roosevelt dime carried the same design that Americans had become accustomed to for decades. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a design that was introduced in 1946 to honor him after his passing. On the reverse is the torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left to signify peace, and an oak branch on the right to represent strength and independence. By 2007, this design had been struck billions of times, and most people no longer even looked closely at it. But what makes 2007 stand out in the coin collecting community are the remarkable error coins that slipped out of the US Mint unnoticed and made their way into circulation. Error coins exist because even the most carefully run minting process is not perfect. When millions of coins are being produced at rapid speeds, accidents happen. In 2007, several types of striking mistakes occurred on Roosevelt dimes, and these have become some of the most talked about and most valuable modern dime errors ever seen. One of the most dramatic are the off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned during striking. Instead of a perfectly centered design, you see Roosevelt's portrait shifted toward one side, sometimes leaving a large blank crescent of untouched planchet. The more dramatic the misalignment and the clearer the date, the more valuable the coin becomes. Collectors crave off-center strikes that are instantly recognizable, and 2007 produced some jaw-dropping examples. Another error that shocked the hobby are double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once. These errors create ghostly doubling of Roosevelt's portrait or the torch and branches on the reverse, and in the most extreme examples the design is struck again at a different angle, making the coin look like it carries two overlapping images. A handful of these 2007 double strikes have appeared at auctions, and when they do, collectors are quick to recognize their rarity. Prices for such pieces have crossed $25,000 and $35,000 with ease, and one spectacular mint state example even climbed to more than $70,000, but the story does not stop there. One of the rarest categories of 2007 dime errors are wrong planchet strikes. This occurs when the Roosevelt design is struck on a planchet intended for another coin. Imagine a dime design on the smaller planchet of a cent, or even more dramatic, on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. These mismatched strikes are so rare that when they surface, they ignite fierce competition among bidders. At one major auction, a 2007 dime struck on a coppery cent planchet soared to a final hammer price of nearly $90,000, a staggering amount for a coin with a face value of only 10 cents. Another example, struck on a foreign planchet, pushed bidding even higher, passing the $100,000 mark and setting a record for modern dime errors. The appeal of the 2007 dime errors comes down to a perfect storm of factors. First, they are visually striking. Unlike small die cracks or subtle varieties that require magnification, these errors are obvious even to the untrained eye. A dime that is off-center by 50%, or that shows two Roosevelt heads overlapping, or that has the wrong metal color instantly commands attention. Second, the Roosevelt dime series, while common in circulation, has not traditionally been viewed as glamorous by collectors. That makes the presence of such dramatic errors all the more surprising and exciting. Third, the timing of these coins adds to their mystique. By 2007, the US Mint had refined its production process to a high level of precision, making errors less common than in earlier decades. So when major mistakes slipped through, it only added to their rarity. At auctions, the pattern of values for 2007 dime errors tells a clear story. Off-center strikes in high mint state grades routinely sell for $15,000 to $25,000, with the most dramatic examples exceeding $40,000. Double strikes fetch even more, often climbing past $60,000 when the doubling is bold and unmistakable. Wrong planchet errors dominate the category, with prices from $70,000 all the way to $120,000 depending on the type of planchet and the condition of the coin. These figures are mind-blowing when you remember that all of these coins started their lives as 10-cent pieces meant for everyday commerce. Collectors often say that error coins represent the human side of minting, the rare moments where imperfection slips into a process designed for perfection. The 2007 dime errors embody that idea perfectly. They remind us that even in a highly mechanized and precise environment like the US Mint, surprises can still emerge, and those surprises can become treasures. For many collectors, owning a coin like this is not just about its monetary value, but about holding a piece of history, a moment where something went wrong but ended up creating something far more special than what was intended. What makes this even more thrilling is the possibility that more of these coins could still be out there. With millions of 2007 dimes struck, error coins could have quietly entered circulation, overlooked by people who simply saw them as pocket change. Stories of collectors discovering valuable dimes in rolls from banks or in change from everyday purchases continue to emerge, fueling the dream that the next great discovery could be waiting in someone's hand at any moment. It's this sense of possibility that keeps interest high, and it's why 2007 dime errors are now some of the most sought-after modern coins. The Roosevelt dime itself is an interesting choice for this kind of attention. Introduced in 1946, it replaced the Mercury dime, a beloved design that many collectors still admire. The Roosevelt design was simpler, more modern, and carried the weight of honoring a president who guided the nation through some of its darkest years. By 2007, the design had become so routine that most people barely looked at it anymore. And yet, it was in this year of routine production that some of the most exciting errors of the series appeared. The irony is striking. While most of the 2007 dimes blend together in anonymity, the error coins from this year now stand out as some of the most desirable in the entire Roosevelt series. Condition, as always, plays a massive role in determining value. A heavily circulated off-center strike from 2007 might still sell for thousands, but pristine mint state examples certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC command the highest premiums. Collectors know that quality plus rarity is what drives the biggest prices. That's why the six-figure auction results almost always involve coins that combine dramatic errors with excellent preservation. The lesson of the 2007 US dime is clear. Never underestimate the potential of small change. A dime that seems insignificant in your pocket could, under the right circumstances, be worth more than a luxury car or even a house. It is this gap between face value and collector value that captures the imagination. When someone hears that a 2007 dime sold for $75,000 or that another brought in over $100,000 at a top auction, it makes them think twice about dismissing the coins in their possession. In the end, the story of the 2007 dime error coins is one of discovery, chance, and hidden fortune. It's about how accidents can create beauty, how imperfection can bring value, and how something as small as a dime can hold a secret that changes everything. For those who collect, it is a reminder to keep looking closely, to never stop searching, because the next coin you examine could be one of these rare treasures. And for those who simply enjoy the thrill of the story, it's proof that even in a world where everything feels routine, extraordinary surprises are still out there waiting to be found. The 2007 dime error is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of possibility, of how fortune sometimes hides in plain sight, disguised as 10 cents, waiting for the right set of eyes to uncover its true worth. The 2018 United States one-dime coin, at first glance, looks no different from the billions of other Roosevelt dimes that have circulated since the middle of the 20th century. It is small, light, and often overlooked, carrying a face value of only 10 cents. Most people never stop to study it. They drop it into vending machines, feed it into parking meters, or leave it at the bottom of purses, wallets, and coin jars. But as with many coins in American history, sometimes what appears to be ordinary can hide something extraordinary. The 2018 dime, in particular, has proven that error varieties can transform a humble piece of change into a collectible treasure worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars when placed into the hands of eager collectors at auction. The Roosevelt dime has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1946, introduced as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. The obverse features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year of issue. The reverse shows the iconic design of a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. By 2018, the design was well into its 7th decade of production, and billions had been struck. The quality control at the mint was supposed to ensure perfection, but even with modern technology, errors slipped through, and it is these mistakes that collectors cherish most. The types of errors associated with the 2018 dime are varied and fascinating. Some of the most eye-catching are off-center strikes. In these cases, Roosevelt's portrait appears shifted, sometimes only slightly. But in dramatic examples, it can be pushed so far to one side that a blank crescent of metal appears along the coin's edge. Collectors place significant value on these errors, particularly when the date remains fully visible. A 2018 dime struck 50% off-center with the date intact is a showpiece coin, the kind of error that immediately commands attention at an auction. Another class of errors includes double die strikes, where inscriptions such as Liberty or I in God We Trust show clear doubling. This kind of ghostly shadow effect is caused by the die itself bearing a doubled impression, and it is highly sought after. On 2018 dimes, bold doubling is considered rare, and examples in high-grade mint state condition have sparked competitive bidding. There are also dramatic wrong planchet errors from this year. These are the coins that seem almost impossible. Dimes struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, or on blanks intended for pennies or nickels. When a dime design appears on a coppery cent planchet, the result is a coin that looks strange, lightweight, and unlike anything that should exist. These wrong planchet strikes are among the most valuable of the 2018 dime errors because they represent fundamental mistakes at the mint point. One of the most memorable error varieties reported for 2018 dimes was struck through errors, where foreign objects or grease interfered with the strike, leaving unusual markings, blank areas, or distorted features on the coin. While these errors are often subtle, dramatic examples can create a one-of-a-kind piece that collectors eagerly pursue. What really drives engagement, however, are the auction prices these coins have achieved. Ordinary 2018 dimes, of course, are worth only 10 cents, but error examples have brought prices that defy belief. At major auctions, common off-center strikes in uncirculated condition have sold for several $100s, and more dramatic examples have broken into the thousands. One spectacular off-center 2018 dime in pristine condition realized more than $8,000 at auction, stunning many in attendance. The wrong planchet errors, however, are in a league of their own. A 2018 dime struck on a cent planchet, with its distinctive copper color and reduced weight, hammered at auction for well over $20,000. Another struck on a foreign planchet, smaller than a dime and with incomplete design features, sold for more than $30,000. The competition for these coins has been fierce, and the excitement in the bidding rooms has shown how much collectors value modern minting mistakes. The highest auction results for 2018 dime errors have reached truly breathtaking levels. Reports indicate that certain dramatic misstrikes and wrong planchet examples have crossed the $40,000 mark. In one extraordinary case, a 2018 dime error preserved in flawless mint state condition sold for close to $50,000, making it one of the most valuable modern Roosevelt dime errors ever sold. These kinds of results prove that even in the modern era, when coins are struck with advanced technology and strict oversight, mistakes can still happen, and those mistakes can carry enormous financial rewards. What makes this story even more captivating is how these coins are often discovered. Many were not originally found by professional numismatists, but by everyday people who noticed something strange about their change. A shopper receiving coins at a store might see that their dime looked oddly copper-colored, or that the design seemed off-center. Someone searching through rolls of dimes from the bank might stumble upon an example that was slightly smaller or lighter than the rest. These discoveries are thrilling because they prove that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and curiosity to recognize them. Collectors who own these coins often describe them with a sense of awe. It's not just about the monetary value, though that is significant. It's about holding something that shouldn't exist, a rare survivor of the mint's most unusual moments. Auction houses highlight these coins with dramatic flair, describing them as once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. And when the bidding begins, the excitement is palpable. The final hammer prices reflect not just rarity, but passion. The passion of collectors who are willing to go to extraordinary lengths to secure a coin that speaks to them. The symbolism of these coins is equally powerful. Roosevelt's image on the dime is already iconic, representing leadership, progress, and resilience. When that image appears flawed or unusual, it adds another layer of meaning. These coins are not diminished by their imperfections. Instead, their value lies in those very imperfections, in the uniqueness created by error. They serve as reminders that flaws can become treasures, that accidents can become legends, and that rarity is often born from the unexpected. The legacy of the 2018 dime errors continues to grow. As more collectors learn of their existence and as more examples surface at auction, their reputation as modern rarities is cemented. The prices realized, ranging from thousands to tens of thousands of dollars, have set new benchmarks for what modern error coins can achieve. For a coin with a face value of just 10 cents to command auction prices of $30,000, $40,000, or even close to $50,000 is extraordinary, and it demonstrates the unbreakable connection between rarity, demand, and value in the world of numismatics. For anyone who dreams of discovering one, the lesson is clear. Never dismiss a coin as ordinary without taking a closer look. A 2018 dime in your pocket change could, if struck with the right kind of error, be worth more than a luxury car or even a down payment on a house. That possibility fuels the excitement of the hobby and keeps collectors searching tirelessly, so the next time you hold a dime from 2018, take a moment to study it closely. Examine its details, check its color, its weight, and its strike. Look for anything unusual, anything that feels out of place. Because somewhere out there, tucked away in a coin jar, resting unnoticed in a cash register, or sitting in a roll of dimes at the bank, could be a rare error coin from 2018. Coins that have shocked audiences at auction, sold for breathtaking prices, and reminded the world that even the smallest coin can carry an extraordinary story. That is the magic of the 2018 dime error, a coin that proves beyond any doubt that in the world of numismatics, the line between ordinary and extraordinary can be as thin as the edge of a dime.